Hey there, Beach Travel Wine podcast fans. It's your buddy Adam from Podcasting Business School. That's the podcast where I help frustrated podcasters learn how to stop hearing crickets and start making money, even if they have a small audience. Check out episode 281, where I help you discover where you're at in the podcasting success timeline. You are listening to the Beach Travel Wine podcast, and it's time to bring out your hosts, my pod pals, Leanne and Lyle.
Hello, it's Leanne here from the Beach Travel Wine podcast, and you're listening to episode 29, all about Barcelona. If you've ever wanted to go to Barcelona, in this episode, we tell you all you need to know, how to get around, what to see, and what things you can do. We cover all the main attractions, plus we give you some great tips, and especially what you should and shouldn't do. So please enjoy episode 29. Hola, Lyle.
Buenos dias, Leonita.
So, as I mentioned earlier, today we are travelling to Barcelona.
Yeah, well, Barcelona is the city on the coast of the northeastern Spain.
I think a lot of people obviously know Barcelona. When you mention Spain, a lot of people have stopped off at Barcelona. You know, more people have probably been there than anywhere else. So, up on the coast there. It's its own little area though, isn't it?
Sure. It's the capital and the largest city of the autonomous community of Catalonia, as well as the second most popular municipality of Spain, which the biggest is obviously Madrid.
Yeah. And so it's on one side it's the Mediterranean, yeah?
Sure.
And then above it, it's sort of bordered by France and Andorra. So they're two different countries.
Sure.
And what's the other border?
You've got, up the north you've got France and Andorra. On the east you've got the Mediterranean. On the south you've got Valencia. Yeah. And on the west it's Aragon.
Okay. Oh, okay. So lots of different areas around it. So you want to tell us a little bit about, a bit about the history, or a bit about Barcelona, because it's quite a different little spot, isn't it? As in the autonomous community, you called it.
Yeah. Look, it's particularly renowned for the architectural works of Antonio Gaudi.
Yep. And everyone would know, when you say Barcelona, what do they think of? The Sagrada Familia, that huge big church that's still being, or cathedral that's still being built, which we'll talk about in a little while. But I think that's probably the most famous tourist attraction in Barcelona. And
Barcelona is very tourist orientated.
Very touristy, yes.
But anyway, I'll give you a bit of history now. I'm going to read this.
Okay.
Well, firstly, I'm not. But the first part of it is, look, like most of Spain, the Romans were first. Then came the Visigoths.
Sure.
And then came the Moorish.
Yes.
And then finally, in the mid 1400s, the Catholic monarchs came in and took it over. But Catalonia's their most recent history is really surprising. I found it fascinating. Since the 2010s, which is not that long ago,
2010,
there has been growing support for Catalan independence. On the 27th of October 2017, the Catalan Parliament unilaterally declared independence following an illegal referendum. The Spanish Senate voted in favour of enforcing direct rule by removing the Catalan government and calling a snap regional election. The Spanish Supreme Court imprisoned 7 former ministers of the Catalan government on charges of rebellion and misuse of public funds, while several others, including the president, fled to other European countries. Those in prison were later pardoned by the Spanish government only in 2021.
So that it was, that's 4 years in jail. 2017, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so like that...
When you go to Spain, though, people do tell you when you go to Barcelona that it's a different language, it's Catalan. Now, most of them speak, the standard Spanish language, right?
Castilian.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. But, when you go to Barcelona region, they don't like to speak anything but Catalan. You know, they teach it in the schools, and they also, as you said, they want to become their own area. You know, they want to be separate, don't they?
I think it reminds me of a lot of the Basque country.
Sure.
And I think that in some respects, the Basques have successfully been more successful in getting a lot more independence. But I think that the idea of this trying to be independent gives the city a bit of an edge to it. You know, it's you definitely get a different feel about it.
Sure, and as we did mention before, it is very touristy, and that's one of the negatives, I would say. If there's a negative about Barcelona, is it's just one of those places where you're just surrounded by people wherever you go. It's
busy everywhere.
Yeah,
like
really
and
busy.
Day or night, wherever, it's always busy.
Well, so speaking of busy. Are we ready to move on? Can I? Oh, you got something else you wanted to say?
I just probably talk about the transport.
Oh, of course, yes. It's a transport hub for sure, right?
Oh, really? Look, it's got the port of Barcelona being one of Europe's principal seaports and busiest European passenger port. An international airport, which basically gets about 50 million passengers per year.
And we were two of those?
Yeah, we were. We've done that a couple of times. An extensive motorway network and a high-speed rail line with links to France and other European countries.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it has the fast train from Barcelona to Madrid as well, which is...
Sure, it's only about 3 hours.
Yeah.
So and I can't remember, but to go to Malaga, which is in the far south, I can't see it being more than about 4 hours either. So
when the first trip that we made to Spain, we arrived at Barcelona, and there was a strike on.
The union strike. Yeah.
And so it wasn't the bag handlers, it was the passport officials, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Or customs officials. So we get off the plane all excited, and one of the things I was really excited about is seeing my son Cody and his then fiance. They'd been in Europe for 7 months, and they were meeting us at they weren't. We didn't know they were going to meet us at the airport, but they were in Barcelona, and we were going to meet up with them. So that was exciting. So we get off this plane, and you're hardly off the plane, and you're in a jam of people. The whole wide corridor was just jam. I mean, geez, think about what it'd be like. COVID, that was pre-COVID, wasn't it? That first trip.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID, yeah.
And so we just jammed in, and it's hot, and we're not moving
but the
anywhere.
air conditioning, whether they didn't have air conditioning or wasn't working, but it was bloody hot. And I remember it took us about an hour and a half to get through.
But you know what? I didn't care.
We didn't. No, that's exactly right. We didn't care. We were in Spain. It didn't matter. Nothing bothered us.
We were so happy.
All we wanted was our first mojito.
Yeah.
But and it was. And I'm not sure when we finally got to the passport. The booth, yeah. You and I got separated. For some reason, I went to one booth, or I'm not sure.
You went through first.
I went through first. Anyway.
And then you had to come back and find me, didn't you?
I did. I'll let you go on, tell them. You're very impressed. You're very happy with yourself.
Because I thought, okay, you get to Spain, you've got to practice your Spanish, no time like the present. So I rocked up to this, the booth, and I didn't even really look inside. But when I did, it was this young, handsome,
another ugly Spaniard
man. And I told him in Spanish. I said, I'm from Australia. I'm here on holidays, and I'm here for 8 weeks. And he looked up at me with his big Spanish eyes.
Were they blue Spanish eyes?
I don't know now. And he said, "Solo." And at that stage, Lyle's come back around to say, what are you doing? I said, no, mi esposo.
And it was the first time I actually observed Leonita actually melting in front of someone. It was very disturbing. But he was a good-looking dude.
Yeah, that was a bit of fun. But another unfortunate thing was Cody and Talia were there with the sign waiting for us, but we missed them.
Yeah, we did.
Because there were so many people just trying to get through, and... Anyway, we got through the airport. It is a really good transport hub, as we said.
Yeah.
Going in and out of Barcelona, we've hopped on the subway and gone out to the big major other train station.
Yeah.
We've hopped on a what do you call it? Just a normal train, a commuter train, and just gone an hour south to Tarragona. Yep. So we've done it all. And it's all really simple, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the first time we just caught a cab into the city where we were going to stay, which was not far from the Rambla.
La Rambla, which we may as well tell everyone about the La Rambla. Now, see or no?
See.
La Rambla is a 1.2 kilometre tree-lined pedestrian street, I guess you'd call it. Yeah. Lined with restaurants and shops.
Yeah. I mean, initially, the first time we went, it wasn't just pedestrian, but there was the second time we went, there'd been a terrorist attack which someone had driven down the middle of the Rambla. And obviously people have been killed. So what they did is now totally pedestrian. Look, it's different. It's just a really different street. It's got lots of historical buildings on either side.
There's the Opera House.
Yeah, there's the Opera House, which obviously opera and ballet. But in the street itself, it's really got a real feel to it. I've never seen so many advertising for sangria anywhere. There's sangria everywhere. Well, I think that's just for the tourists.
I actually remember seeing lots of signs, publicity for the Barcelona football team.
Sure. Yeah. I think there's actually a kiosk that sells all the merchandise. Yeah. But you've got...
But the street, it's always absolutely busy. There's never a time of day that's not busy, except at 6 a.m. in the morning when you want to get on the subway, the underground. There's no one around, and it's quite eerie when you're used to being there and bustling with all these people. But it's also lined with restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, and the restaurants are sort of on the side of the street, and then they've got their pergola areas and their...
in the middle of the promenade. And it's got me... I can't fathom the fact that they serve all these people in the middle of the street from the restaurants. Yeah. So in Australia would never be allowed. Even though there's no traffic now, I still think it's quite dangerous.
Here's a little hint for you though, don't eat there. Grab a coffee if you like, or a sangria, as Lyle said. But, that's one bit of advice we got, which we didn't take on a couple of occasions just because it's convenient. But the food there is A, pricey, and B, average. And if you just step off that main La Rambla area, you'll find many nice places to eat.
I think we've been, it's probably the first time where we've been told, steer clear of the La Rambla for food, and they've been right.
Yeah. Oh no, also in Tarragona.
Yeah, Tarragona, same thing.
Once again, it was a bit late.
But just in the street itself, it's got an amazing atmosphere. You've got
all those little booths.
You've got kiosks selling newspapers and souvenirs. There's beautiful flower shops. Kiosks. You've got street traders, you've got performers and performers. Now the performers
I've got some really nice photos in our website at beachtravelwine.com to go with this that show the La Rambla from above with the tree-lined streets, and then one of the performers, they're all painted in, this one's in green paint, and they're standing still.
I suppose you'd call them mime artists. They paint themselves up. They look incredible. They look like statues. And you can't believe it when they move. It's astonishing. And they also have people that do drawings.
Yeah, they do all those drawings. Yeah, you had one of those, didn't you?
Yeah, I did have one of those.
But the other thing they do, the stalls that I got quite fascinated me was the seeds. And you probably don't remember, but they had plants that looked like body parts. Like they had a...
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
Oh, yeah, that was really funny.
I can't believe that you remembered that.
Yeah, well, I saw some photos.
Okay.
That's what reminded me of it. One of the most well-known places in La Rambla is the St. Joseph Market.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's very famous. It's not huge, but you walk into this undercover market, produce market, and it's one of those markets that they sell all types of food, and it's on display. They've got immaculate displays, and the ones I loved were the fruit ones and the juice ones. It's known for its fresh juices, isn't it? And they're all made up and they're sitting in ice. But it's also where you don't just buy produce, you can sit and eat at a bar.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we did that.
Yeah, you can go and sit in there and have a drink and try the tapas and things on offer. And I've got some lovely little photos of the markets that we wandered around and of the fruit and the juices and some produce in the markets. And they have beautiful flowers, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Look, it's like a lot of places in Spain, the market has developed over time. Look, originally it was the construction began in 1840, and then there was a new fish market opened in 911, and there's one of the unique things is a metal roof that actually still exists now, and that was constructed in 1914. So there's a bit of history in the market, but like you, I was just...
But do you remember, around the outside there's these big arches, you can actually just sort of step outside and they've got tables, you know. Yeah, so it's like it's in a courtyard almost with that metal roof that you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's and that's quite unique, and as I said, I was blown away by the colour and the displays of the fruit. And yeah, we did have, I don't think we were aware that the market was famous for its fruit juices, but I think just the colour and everything looked so fresh that we did have one, and it was fabulous.
Yeah, it was really nice. So that's sort of in the middle of La Rambla.
Yeah.
And, we're at the top, it's sort of downhill, and as you go down the 1.2 kilometre straight line pedestrian, La Rambla Street, right at the bottom you can see this massive statue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is that, Lyle? Pray tell.
That is Columbus's monument. So, it's basically...
It's like a big round one, isn't it, with him on top? Like a pillar.
Huge. He's huge. Yeah. It's 60 metres or 197 feet tall. And...
Yeah.
It was construction for the Exposition Universal de Barcelona in 1888 in honour of Columbus's first voyage to the Americas. So he actually came back to Barcelona.
Yes.
So, so...
everyone claims him, but he's got his statue there, hasn't he? At the bottom of La Rambla, and he's sort of looking out over the ocean area. So,
which surprised me, because I thought if he was coming back, he'd be looking in, but he is. He's got he looks up, but...
You can't get lost, though, in that area, because you just have to look for...
No, you just got to look for that, yeah. So, actually, I'm going to tell you a little thing interesting that I'll read. When he landed in the Bahamas, the Bahamas, in a place called San Salvador.
Okay.
And Columbus named it that. And anyway, land was sighted by the sailor named Rodrigo de Triana. However, later Columbus would assert that he had first seen land, thus earning the promised annual reward of 10,000 maravedis, which is 30, it's about 30 cents in today's money. So old Columbus,
he took the glory.
And the money. Anyway, Columbus voyage.
Yes.
In today's...
You're excited about Columbus, aren't you?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm clapping. Sorry about that. Yeah, in today's money, it would be just over $500,000 American dollars.
That's probably worth it to find a new country, isn't it?
Well, obviously now.
Yeah, yeah. So that's at the bottom of La Rambla. There's another little place that comes off La Rambla, and that is Plaza Real. And that's one of our favourite little places, isn't it? It's we wandered down La Rambla and found this little plaza, and we sat ourselves down and got chatting to a real-life sheriff. And he was there for a jazz festival, and so all around Plaza Real were, all these little concerts going on of jazz musicians. But I like this plaza. I think it's one of my favourites. It's got palm trees. It's not that big, but it doesn't have that. I just really liked it, and it's got like a monastery or something on one side. It used to be a monastery, hasn't it? on one side of the plaza.
Yes, it used to be the convent of Santa Madrona.
And now there's nightclubs, is that right?
Yeah, there's nightclubs. Look, it's really famous and well known to have nightclubs, and the nightclubs from Sidecar to Jamboree to Karma, and the historic and reinvented speakeasy cocktail bar No Pipa Club.
So we didn't know that at the time, did we?
Thank goodness.
So that's La Rambla, and it's a you've got something else?
Just that the actual lampposts in the plaza.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. They were designed by Gaudi.
Yeah. So
and they're way out there.
Yeah, there's a nice photo of that too. Yeah, it's a really pretty little plaza to sit and have a mojito or two, see or not?
Yes, I think we did have quite a few over the time.
Over the time. Another popular area, not far from La Rambla, is the Gothic Quarter, isn't it? And it's a very quaint old area, and that's where Cody and Talia were staying. They said it was actually quite lively and noisy at night. So can you tell us a little bit about the Gothic Quarter?
Well, it's obviously the oldest part of the city, and it includes the remains of the city Roman walls and several notable medieval landmarks. El Kel, the medieval Jewish quarter, is located within this area, along with the former synagoga Mehor.
Mehor, so the big synagogue.
Look, it's got the remains of the Roman temples, cathedrals, Church of Santa Maria.
It's really nice little spot to wander around and explore. Whereas La Rambla is this great big wide street full of people. Yeah. This is like the
narrow alleys and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And there's lots of authentic shops and bars in that area as well, and little plazas to sit and eat and remember we found that bar. The lady in there, it was so narrow that you could just fit in. And this is when we were watching, there was the football, the Euro Cup was on.
Oh, yeah.
And
I do remember.
We went in there, and her English was brilliant. And I don't know what we ordered, but I remember Talia ordered a... sangria.
Sangria.
Oh, and Talia's watching this lady make this sangria, and she starts to chop up banana and put in it. And Talia cannot stand eating banana, and she almost gagged us watching her. That's what I remember about the
What about the dog at the door?
Oh, yeah, he was just sitting there right in the middle of the doorway.
Right in the doorway, yeah.
And his owner didn't care? They didn't care?
No, they didn't care. And it was, and I can remember thinking that particular lady behind the bar, she just saw a gringo.
Yeah.
And she was just going to take the piss out of it.
She just putting all this stuff in. That was funny.
Yes. She was definitely taking the piss out of us.
We did find a nice little restaurant and had some lovely little tapasy things there too. I remember that. It wasn't cheap, but it was nice.
Yeah.
So from the Gothic Quarter down towards the beach area, which I'll quickly tell you about the beach. It's sort of about 4.5 kilometres in Barcelona itself, and there's quite a lot of beach areas for obviously the locals and tourists to explore, but the main one is called Barceloneta, and it's the one that you walk to from the city, the one that we went to, and we spent a bit of time sitting on that beach. It's a nice wide flat beach, isn't it? And it wasn't too crowded when we were there, so I'm sure it does get crowded, but we
were probably there a bit early.
Yeah, we were there early. What I do remember about the walk to the beach, though, is we found, it's not Costco, I can't remember the name, but we just were after like a normal coffee.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was an American chain, wasn't it? And we stopped there. And there's a lot of the hawker guys selling stuff, and we bought a couple of big rugs or towels to put on the beach, from them. So that's a really easy walk to the beach. But also on the water is the Maritime Museum.
Of Barcelona. Look, that's incredible. That really is worth, especially with the Spanish affiliation with, the sea.
Yeah.
So, it's dedicated to the shipbuilding between the 13th and 18th century. It shows the history of navigation from the early days together with the history of the Spanish Navy since the Catholic monarchs in the 15th century up to the present.
But the thing that's impressive is that that huge ship inside it.
Yeah. I highlight a full-sized replica of the Juan de Asturias galley from the 16th century, where you can walk onto the ship and view a short 3D film showing the harsh reality of life on board.
Yeah, so the actual size galley ship inside the Maritime Museum.
Yeah, and it's very colourfully painted, and it's beautiful.
But the waterfront there is quite a busy area, isn't it? You know, so and we don't do a lot of museums, but that maritime one is certainly worth a visit. And the other thing that's down on the water,
and don't forget it does have a cafe.
That's right,
and a restaurant.
And
so
you can go and sit there and look over the water as well. And there are numerous other restaurants and cafes in that the sort of port area, and obviously that's where the cruise ships land as well. And there's a big shopping centre.
Huge shopping centre, where it used to be the old port.
And, so you walk across a bridge to the shopping centre.
I bought your favourite T-shirt there.
Yeah. I've still got to tell you to pack it and wear it because I really like it.
Yeah, it was about €10, so it was as cheap as chips, but it's a really nice T-shirt. And the actual, I think we had lunch there. Remember looking over, and we couldn't believe the size of the seagulls.
The huge seagulls.
Yeah,
but it's a lovely walk along.
They're more like penguins.
Yeah, penguins. It's a lovely walk along that waterfront area, so you can jump down the La Rambla, go through all the historic area, and end up at the water, which is really, really nice, and enjoy a drink looking at the view. See or not?
See.
One of the best ways to get around Barcelona, especially if you haven't been there before, it's because it's a very spread out city. There's you can walk that area that we talked about before, but you can't walk to see everything in a short time. So we used the hop-on, hop-off bus, didn't we? And it's quite unique because there's 3 different ones, isn't there?
Yeah, there's 3 different routes. There's 45 stops. There's 5 transfer points where you can go from one route to the other. There's an information official on each bus. There's 16 languages, and there's also a discount booklet to go to all the
sites.
Sites, yeah. So the 1 day adult ticket price is €27, and the 2 day adult price was $36.
Yeah, we did the 2 day one because the main stop or the beginning stop is just at the top of La Rambla.
Correct.
There's a big sort of plaza area there, and that's where you can catch them to get where you want to go, and you can swap over. And they come quite regularly. Some of the hop on hop off buses take half an hour between.
Well, they say
stops.
Between 5 and 15 minutes,
depending on the season.
Depending on the season, so it's pretty regular.
Yeah. So there's one that sort of takes you obviously around the sort of Gaudi stuff, and then there's one that takes you out to the Barcelona football stadium, and then one that takes you up the mountain to the Fine Arts Museum sort of area, and so you sort of can pick what you want to do, and it's worth doing. We did a couple of them, didn't we?
Yeah, you wanted to jump off and have a look at the football stadium. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't you?
Well,
really?
There's a museum there that's open on the day of the football of the game, and so a question.
Yes.
How many people does
the stadium hold?
FC Barcelona hold?
Well, I know it's around 90,000.
It's 99,300 and something.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 54. Don't hold me to that.
I thought you said 92,000.
Did I say that?
99. Why wouldn't they just go 100,000?
Well, you've thrown me off, but I'll find that. But I think you may be correct.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's a lot.
Bloody big.
Well, they have a lot of supporters.
Yes, and you're one of them.
Yeah, I am one. Well, I like Spanish football. Did we say what the population was? I don't even think we did. We said it was the second biggest. It's like 5.6 million. So, you know, that's a lot of people to get supporters for football.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I think too that, like what you said, Barcelona's way more spread out than Madrid, I reckon.
Yeah. That's another reason why we don't spend a lot of time there, because we like to walk.
Yeah.
So the hop on hop off bus, definitely recommend it. It's right in the middle of town to find the main stop, and they sell tickets wherever you are too. You don't just have to be at the main stop to get on that. And from there, one of the places we'd suggest you definitely get off would be the Picasso Museum.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about. I mean, we've stayed in Malaga in Picasso Square, apparently where Picasso was born.
Yeah, we actually. Well, they told us that he was actually born in the apartment we stayed
Yeah, they
in,
did
but
tell
I
us
think
that.
they say that to everybody.
And we went to Madrid to see the most famous Picasso painting, didn't we?
Sure. And you did. You wanted to go and see that.
Because,
and what was that?
El Guernica.
See.
Yeah, and that's it's a famous one because it's all about the war, and but it's huge, it's massive, and I did want to see that.
And there's also another Picasso museum in Malaga, which is where he was born.
Okay, well there you go. But this one, like, it covers 5 buildings or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. The museum was founded after a former secretary and friend of Picasso, Jamie Sabates, donated an extensive collection to the city of Barcelona. It was about 574 works.
He lived quite a long time, like 1881 to 1973 or something.
Yeah, he was 91 when he died. They reckon, the story has it, that he was still working on a painting at 3 a.m. the day he actually passed away.
He did a self-portrait too, didn't he?
Yeah, that was one of the last paintings that actually sold. Well,
that sold for a lot of money.
Sure.
170 million or something?
Pablo Picasso, no, that was Woman of Algiers, sold at an auction in New York for $179,365,000. Small change for you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's all this podcasting, make the big bucks.
Yeah, but there's about 4,250 works of Picasso, and that includes...
When you think about that, that's a lot.
Sure, but it includes like paintings,
drawings, sketches,
sculpture.
It's only 52 weeks in a year. Like it's
well, if he's turning around, if he's still working at 3 a.m. on the day he passes away, I think the bloke was obsessive.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe. But so that's a very popular if you're into that.
Yeah, and as you say, it's basically in 5 palaces that are,
been converted to.
Yeah, they've been converted to museums.
Museums.
Now, what he was most famous for was the Cubism, and that really only lasted from 1907 to 1914.
Well, I disagree. I think it's in Caloundra in 2022.
Steve Bordenaro.
We've got a friend that does amazing paintings like that.
Well, the other thing too, when you think of the Cubism and basically it's abstract, and what they say is there's 2 objects normally in each painting, and it's abstract, and they're very, very colourful.
Right.
But he also did a lot of landscapes and portraits, and it's not just there's not just the Cubism in the museums. There's a lot of the other stuff.
Well, that El Guernica, there's hardly any colour in it at all.
True.
It's not bright.
And that was all about the bombing of the town of El Guernica in the Spanish Civil War.
So Picasso Museum, where's it located? It's not far on one of the bus lines anyway. It's easy to get to, and as I said, it's 5 palaces, so they did well to get them all pretty close to each other. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The museum is housed in 5 adjoining medieval palaces on Montegada Street in the La Ribera neighbourhood in the old town.
Yeah, so in the old town.
So you thought you had me there?
No, I knew that you knew that because we talked about it, and it's in the old town, so it's easy to get to. So.
I must have forgotten that I did know that, because when you asked me, I thought, hang on, I'm in trouble here.
Not in trouble at all, darling. All right. So the Picasso Museum and the beach they're both worth going to see. However, the thing that, as I said earlier, most people go to Barcelona for is because of Antonio Gaudi's architecture. As we mentioned earlier, the most popular Antonio Gaudi building in Barcelona is the Sagrada Familia, which is a Catholic cathedral.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Basilica of the Holy Family.
Now, it's still being built, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
an ongoing creation.
Yeah, look, it started 140 years ago.
Yeah.
Just
to give you a little bit of, I mean, I've got some really nice pictures of the Sagrada Familia. It looks different. You know, everything about Gaudi is different, but it sort of seems to, like, for me, it's a bit like, I don't know, I'd say like rockets joined together. You know, it's like these spires sort of trying to take off into the sky. You know, it's not. It seems to be quite a small base with lots on top. That's what it looks like, even though it is spread out. You know, and the decoration on the outside is, nothing. It's not like your normal old cathedral, is it? You know, it's definitely the Gaudi stuff. But as you said, the thing that stands out to you are the stained glass windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like huge.
Yeah, they're it's unbelievable because the ceilings are so high. Because obviously the spires are so high, the light that gets in and the colour of the different colours of the stained glass, it's just unbelievable inside. But then doing a bit of research, I found that it was actually modelled on the cathedral at Burgos, which we were blown away with the stained glass there.
The stained glass there,
yeah.
But tell me about, there's like, how many spires are there now and how many is there supposed to be?
Okay, I'll give you the drill.
Give me the drill.
It was started in 1882, 142 years ago. It's Gothic Revival. This is the style, Gothic Revival, Art Nouveau and Modernista. It's got a sitting capacity of 90,000. The length is
90 or 9?
Oh, sorry, 9,000. Sorry.
It's not the stadium, mate.
Good pickup, Leonita. Yeah, I'm getting confused with the football stadium.
The two religions in Barcelona, you got them confused.
So, the length is 90 metres, the width is 60 metres. There's 18 spires, which 10 are already built. The spire height is 170 metres, 560 feet. So you can understand how high the ceilings are.
That's it.
You know, like,
and that's why it looks like it's taken off into the sky, because there's all these spires. You know, most churches have 1 or 2, but this has got, 10 and coming up to 18.
Yeah, look, the tickets are about €20.
Yeah, that's not cheap to get in, is it?
No,
but
which that actually pays for the construction.
Yes. Yeah. But once again, it is so busy. You know, you go around it on the bus, and the people, just line up. And the advice is to get your tickets ahead, rather than do it there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I'd either go really late or as early as you can, because it's the most visited place in Barcelona, and Barcelona's absolutely chockers full of tourists anyway, and this is the place that everyone wants to go to, so you certainly need to plan ahead for that, but you can see why they want to see it. It's there's one of the photos I've got on the website at beachtravelwine.com. You can see like all the streets, everything coming together, like this great big aerial photo. And there's, not really aerial, from the side. And the thing that stands out is the Sagrada Familia. It's like, it dominates the landscape, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. Look, there was an art critic, Rainer Zerbst, said it is probably impossible to find a church building anything like it in the history of art.
Yeah.
So, look, it's incredible, but all Gaudi stuff was, and he wasn't just an architect, building architect. He was involved in the cabinet making, the carpentry, the forged iron, the ceramic tiles, the ceramics, the glass making, silver and goldsmith works. Like, he was just, and he embraced it all into this. It was almost like he was a rebel. He wasn't going to do it the same as everybody else. Obviously you've got all this Baroque and Renaissance architecture in Spain. It was almost like he said, well, I'm going to change that. Yeah. I'm going to make it different. And he based it around nature. You saw it. You were really taken back by that place in Comillas.
Yes. Yeah.
What was the name of that again?
El Capricho de Gaudi. Yeah. It was the house that was covered in sunflower tiles and bright green tiles. Sure. So that's Sagrada Familia. There's a couple of other really famous Gaudi places in Barcelona. And the next one I think that people have probably heard of is Park Güell, and that's it's sort of up on top of a hill, isn't it?
Correct.
Carmel Hill, yes.
Yep.
And it's got a bit of a funny story how that came to be, isn't it? Like there's a land developer trying to build houses up there near the rich neighbourhood.
Yeah.
And he had all these triangular lots he was trying to sell and build houses on them.
Yeah.
And as part of that estate, he got Gaudi to put a park in to attract people to want to live there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, the neighbourhood next door was the Ritzy area, and this developer decided, what's his name?
What's his name?
Giuseppe Guel. I reckon I love the name. I love the name. Giuseppe Guel. Yeah, he was a bit of a mover and shaker, I think, and this particular hill, Mount Carmel.
Carmen or Carmel? Carmel.
Carmel.
Yep, okay. Yes.
It was not the most nicest hill, so he, as you say, he decided to development. There was supposed to be about 60 lots with houses, and obviously Gaudi was there to make it look special.
Like they do in the developments where we are today, you know.
Yeah, they've started doing that,
they put parks in that, attract people, so...
unfortunately, though, only 2 houses were ever built, and...
but the park's still there.
The park's still there,
and it's a World Heritage Site, I think.
Yes, it is,
1924 it was called a World Heritage Site. But Park Güell is... It's actually really quite a large area, and it's got like little houses that look like gingerbread houses, and then it's got massive big sort of columns which hold up a big ceiling that you can go in underneath. And as you go in, there's this great big and it's sort of the picture that you have in your mind is the serpent bench, which is this huge big sort of fence or bench that's curved, and it's covered in mosaic tiles, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he also built artificial birds' nests into the side of the mountain and to attract birds, which it did. It's got the bird life there is amazing.
Yeah.
And interwoven through all these fascinating little houses and the tiles and the columns and the mosaics and the beautiful pictures on the website once again. Are beautiful gardens, like the lush trees and the plantings throughout that park. It's beautiful spot to wander around and explore. There's nothing like that anywhere else either, is there?
No, it's and you've also got the roof mosaics, and you've got huge columns, there's if I remember correctly, there's like a fountain out the front. You love a water feature, which is designed like a dragon. So it's like, now the park is free to get into, but to go into the monumental zones, it's $10. $10
or euros?
Or €10, sorry. Yeah. And for a guided tour, it's around €19.
Can I just say the reason the rich people live on the hill?
Sure.
Because what we found out is, centuries ago when Barcelona was being settled, and people were moving to the area, all the wealthy people wanted to be as far away or as high above the water as they could.
Yeah.
Which is so different to now. Now all the money's on the water, isn't it? People want water, they
water views. Yeah, well, they just, because of safety, obviously.
Yeah, so for safety, which is, because why wouldn't you have these big palaces and things down here on the water? But because they're up the hill, because it's safer up there. So,
But I've got actually, I'll read this. This is a description of Gaudi's work.
Yeah.
Starting from a sort of Baroquism, his works acquired a structural richness of forms and volumes free of rational rigidity or any sort of classic premise. And that's what I was trying to say before. He was almost like he was going against everything that was contemporary.
Look at you bloody art critic.
No, I just researched a lot, Leonita.
So when enough Gaudi isn't enough Gaudi, the other popular spot that people go and see, which is once again pretty close to the main area, isn't it?
Yep.
Is Casa Miller. And it's a building that looks like it's a bit wonky.
Yeah, it's the nickname is the Pedrera, and that means the stone quarry. So a reference to the unconventional rough appearance is a modernistic building.
And so the window frames are sort of curved, and they've got quite a lot of they're like, you don't remember that? He's frowning at me, instead of like the
looks like something the Flintstones would live in.
Well, quarry, see. Yeah, exactly. But the structured buildings in the Barcelona streets, everything's they're straight and
aligned.
Aligned. There we go. That's the word. This building is the windows are sort of a big sort of curves. They've got balconies on them that once again are curved, and
then you've got the wrought iron balconies that just looks like
it's very fancy.
A 2-year-old did it.
Fancy and fiddly and different, and I don't imagine that the locals liked it in the beginning.
Well, there are a couple of controversies.
Yes.
Which, thanks for the lead-in, Leonita. Yeah, City Hall.
Did you need to tell people that?
City Hall.
You're just reading the teleprompter there.
Yeah, sure. City Hall stopped work in December 1907 because a pillar occupied part of the sidewalk, not respecting the alignment of facades. August 17, 1908, the building surpassed the predicted height and borders of its construction site by 4,000 square metres, 43 square feet. The council called for a fine of 1,000 pesetas or for the demolition of the attic and roof.
So what'd they do?
Oh, well, resolved 18 months later when the commission certified it was a monumental building and thus not required to have strict compliance with the bylaws.
Right, so how much did that cost Gaudi?
Wouldn't have been Gaudi. It would have been the guy.
Oh, the building
Miller,
Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Casamilla has a number. Oh, yeah. Look.
Yes. Yes.
How can I say it? It was very controversial when it was built.
Yes.
A lot of the other local residents thought that the shape and the way the building was built...
Yeah, because it stands out like dog's balls, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, would lower the
value?
The value of their apartments. Look, it really wasn't that successful.
No.
And I
because
think,
it was built, it was like for housing, like they were trying to sell off apartments.
Yeah. Basically, what they want to do, the guy that built it, he wanted the middle floor for himself, and him and his wife, and then they were going to build, rent out apartments.
Yeah,
but
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and over time, that the someone else bought it, and then they changed the whole design of it,
and then they were able to do it
to.
Accommodate apartments.
Accommodate another 13 apartments, which meant obviously Gaudi's work wasn't done. But they did keep Gaudi's paintings on the walls and the entrance. But the thing about Gaudi gets me...
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, like his park was supposed to sell blocks of land.
Yeah, it was supposed to build 60 blocks, and only 2 were ever built. And they weren't built by Gaudi, and Gaudi bought one because they couldn't sell them.
But the park's amazing.
The park is amazing, but the commercial reality of that...
And the church is still being built.
The church still hasn't been finished. And as what I read, and I'm not, don't hold me to this, but it was only 15 to 20% of that particular church or basilica. It had been built
when he died.
So
right, yeah. And then this Casamilla...
I think the main architect now is actually a Kiwi.
Really?
Yeah.
And then Casamilla, was controversial because they, tried to break the rules, and then they were supposed to be fined, but then someone's paid money to make it, not a residential building, a monumental building, which, they couldn't even live in it like the way they wanted it to. So yeah, it was. But having said all that, that's what people go there for, and you can see why.
Yeah, look, it's...
And we've seen all that.
It is unbelievable to look at it. You just go... And he's just got this way about him, Gaudi, that...
He's different.
Yeah, it's his way of the highway sort of thing. Yeah. And it's just extraordinary.
Yeah. So, Lyle, one of the places that we went to that I really enjoyed. We talked about La Rambla and the Gothic Quarter and Plaza Real and those sort of things. We stayed not far from La Rambla, and we did find a little cafe called Bar Oscar's. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Your new Spanish boyfriend.
Well, he was 85 in the shade, so, give me a break.
Yeah, I thought I was still
I
thought I was still in with a chance.
He spoke no English.
No,
and,
not a word.
Which is quite, normal in Spain. A lot of people don't speak English. And he was very nice because they don't like to speak, as you said, Castilian, but he did with me because that's what I knew. And we'd go in there every morning and order a coffee and a pastry, didn't we? And he got to know us got to know us, like he was quite friendly, he's an old fella, and we got chatting to him. And just because he was very patient and speaking Spanish with me, and, he had our order ready when we'd go in of a morning and knew what we wanted, he was the recipient of our Koala Award.
The Barcelona Koala Award,
yeah.
Old Oscar.
Well, I don't think his name was Oscar, but
I think that's the name of the bar.
It was the name of the bar, but it wasn't his. But, I did ask him that, but we were happy to call him Oscar.
Sure.
We? Yeah.
And we have...
Ever since,
yeah.
Old Oscar. I bet he's still got that koala, bless him. He'd be one of those, wouldn't he? He would have loved that.
I reckon it'd more likely to be there than it would be still in Pancho's in Burgos, I reckon.
See. So it's come to that time of day, where we have to think, and I can see, you should see Lyle's face, he's worried what I'm going to ask him. You know what I ask you every time at the end of our podcast? Where was your favourite place to have a drink, a glass of wine, a mojito, a sangria, in Barcelona, Lyle? Have you got somewhere that you can tell me that you're not going to have a big silence? So can I do a sneak? Can I stop talking yet, or are you good to go?
The Maritime Museum.
Oh, okay. That's a shock. Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was amazing. It's full of history, so, and you had views out into the ocean. So,
okay.
What more do you want?
Okay, well, you're going to be sorry when I tell you mine.
Oh, go on.
I got two. Can I do two? Yeah, I can. I'm the boss. Okay, number one was our first drink in Plaza Real, having that sangria there.
I know what the other one is. Go on, I know what the other. And you're right, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, sorry you didn't pick it. Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah, but I can understand why you went with the Maritime Museum, because you really loved it there. Like, you talked about that for weeks and weeks after that. So, but my favourite spot was having a mojito on our rooftop bar.
How many?
Well, the first one, obviously, is always going to be the best. Yeah, the favourite.
Yeah, it was our first drink in Spain.
So it was on the rooftop bar with Cody and Talia and you and I, and we'd got through the airport, and there was it was just, the views, the atmosphere, the actual dream of being in Spain, and that's probably my favourite drink in all of Spain ever, perhaps. Yeah. So that's on our rooftop bar of the hotel that we were staying in.
And to finish that story,
you always got to make me look like a drunk.
Hang on. We weren't untidy, but we were so excited. We were just so excited to be in Spain. So. Cody and Talia decided they were going to go home, and because they weren't staying in the same place.
Because they thought we'd want to rest. Well, they thought we'd want to rest.
Yeah, yes. So we went down, and I just looked at Leonita after the guys had gone. I said, "You feel like another mojito?" And we said, "Yes." So anyway, we went back up to the bar, and after that we fell asleep on the bed, and we were very, very lucky to wake up in time
for
to go to dinner.
So, quickly finish up. In Barcelona, you definitely will need to use transport to get around, because there's so much to see. It's a very spread out city. It's a very busy city. It's a bit edgy city. You need to watch your personal possessions a little bit more in Barcelona, just because of the crowds. And
they say that, it sounds terrible to say that, but...
We're not making that up.
We're not making that up.
No.
That's everywhere you go in Barcelona. The locals tell you...
Yeah.
To be careful, even when we were in the airport.
Yes.
It was saying,
careful.
Keep an eye on your
and we
belongings.
could see why that was, but you just need to be aware of your surroundings. Walk up and down the Rambla, go to the beach. There's a lot to see, and you can see why it's a very popular place to visit.
Well, we've probably been there 3 times, and we haven't had an issue.
No, but I'm just saying you can see why it's popular, and why people love to go to Barcelona because there's so much to do there.
Oh, it's very unique.
Yes.